Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is November 13th, 2021. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security, and I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so with QQQ, little overview here. We had a big breakout, kind of a shakeout right over here this week. And it looks like that the averages want to move higher. I think we are in a very bullish time of year, very bullish market. So let's look at some trading ideas, okay? Yeah, make these ideas your own, know your earnings date. And before we even go further, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate that. And follow me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Okay, so let's talk. I have 11 actionable, 5 soon, 6 patience. Here we go. First one, Zscaler. I think this is pretty actionable right over here. I would, even if it takes another day or so, pulling in, but it looks pretty good. AEHR, well, again, it's kind of consolidating up here. Very easy to manage risk, right? If we lose this low, then I think that it's off, right? Or the 23-day EMA right here, right? So if it gets below 2183, then you're done. So find your right entry and go after it. LTHM, I came back, retested, held nicely, and now is moving higher. So I like how it held right there. So that looks pretty good. Volume's kind of decreasing, but all in all, it looks pretty good. Coin. So coin had earnings and had the big gap down, and then it kind of came back some, and then it's had some steady climbing since. So I think that you could do against the VWAP, you could do against the 23-day EMA. I'm sorry, the 9-day EMA right here. Bigger time frame, you could do it against this area of potential support on 315 or so. All depends on what your time frame is, but it looks pretty good. I like how the buyers really stepped in here. LC Lending Club, had the big gap right up there, 33% move, and then it kind of came back, which is what we want to see. And now the moving averages are starting to catch up, and so you want to take a shot with maybe a little move above, this 44.30-ish area. I think that would maybe a place to maybe get long LC. LIVN. You had a nice little breakout on good volume, kind of came back, retested the breakout, and now the moving average is starting to catch up. Here's the 9-day. So as long as it stays above, I would say this low, right? Stays above 88.27, then I think you're good to go right there, right? Good place to manage risk against. Next up is SOFI. Zooming out just a little bit, it's a newer IPO, but this looks like a nice double bottom base. It did have a shakeout here after earnings, and then it just came right back the next day. So had a couple nasty days in here, shakeout, moved higher. If it can move above, we'll call it $25. This double bottom is in play then, and that's a pretty good move, right? You're looking at maybe another 50% move to the upside. So yeah, looks really nice. SOFI should be on your watch list. ATEN, that's the ATEN networks. Again, had this beautiful move higher, 35%. And then, it's kind of shaking around in here, letting the moving averages catch up. I like how they kind of have, you have this VWAP pinch, which is kind of nice to see. Just wondering, where is this here? Yeah, there you go, right? Now this is getting real tight right between these two VWAPs. So as long as it stays up, breaks to the upside here, I think long A10 makes sense. On semiconductors, had the big gap up right here, and now it's kind of moving sideways. Moving averages are starting to catch up. This one could almost go into soon. It may need a few more days, but it does look pretty good. PERI, a little choppy in here, but it's holding. Moving averages are catching up. There's your 9-day EMA. It's holding the VWAP from the big gap, which is a 31% gap up. I love to see that volume profile, very favorable, right? So you see that nice accumulation here, and the down days are on a much lower volume. Looks great. So again, nice place to manage risk against. If we lose, this low or the VWAP somewhere in here, then you may call it a day. But right now it's doing everything right, letting the moving averages catch up. And the last one in this section is Silvergate. I had it in here and I kind of sold a lot of it, but held on to a little bit of it. I let it kind of work this volatility out, and I'm still holding a partial position. I hold a few of these that we're going over today, actually. And it was once higher, right? It's just kind of chopping around in here. Here's your VWAP from this gap or from this big move. So a little gap in there too. Big move higher. And yeah, I mean, as long as it's holding this, the 9-day, it's trending higher. The VWAP it's holding, everything is looking pretty good. Again, try to shake out earlier this week, and it bounced right back. So that's good to see. And the shakeout, if you notice, volume, not so, not a huge volume, much more accumulation and distribution going on. All right, moving on to 5 soon names. DataDog, this gap, nice big gap, 11%, and now it's consolidating in a fairly tight range over here. So it's nice to see. I still think the moving averages need to catch up a little bit more. So I think I have a soon on this one. LAC. I alerted this one on Twitter a while back. I never took this trade though, but I broke out of this beautiful cup and handle, kind of had the retest, and then it's been off to the races. The 9-day EMA has been kind of a guide, getting maybe a little bit extended in here, maybe a little bit loose. I think it needs to maybe settle down a little bit. So it's a soon name. ABNB, Airbnb. Yeah, it's a new IPO name. Everyone's familiar with this, but I do love how this is trying to break out of its first real IPO base. If it gets above 215, I think it could be off to the races for this one. So it's ABNB, ENPH. Beautiful gap right there, holding the VWAP like a champ. Just really strong looking name. Lots of good volume coming in here. So definitely one to keep your eyes on, see if you get an entry in that one. And CFLT, big gap right there, 27%, newer name, and then it's really tight in here, right? This one may need a little bit more time, but these moving averages are starting to catch up to it. And again, I love this tight. All this is within this bar right here. So a lot of inside day going on in here, inside days back to back to back, or it's a big inside week, right? Nice inside week in there. So a lot of things looking good. I think this one has also, when you do top to bottom, it should play out to only 63%. So not quite high tight flag potential, but it's in that idea. Okay, that's CFLT. And then I have 6 patients names. DOCN, DigitalOcean, again, just way extended, but looks pretty good. It's got to kind of settle down some. It is a little bit late in this initial run, so it may need a reset. So I need some patience to see what it wants to do. Cadence Bank. I'm not sure what they do, but man, that was a big gap up there, 44%. And it's holding the VWAP from the gap and decreasing volume as it's kind of consolidating in here. I mean, really, really strong name. So I probably need to look more into what Cadence Bank does, but needs a little bit of patience, but this one's starting to look really good. RBLX, Roblox, a couple really big days there, breaking out all-time highs or real close to it. But it's just really extended from its moving averages. Probably needs to kind of settle down, tighten up in here, and then move higher. So definitely on my watch list. Unity Software, there's a really strong name, gigantic volume coming in from even before the earnings, but huge volume coming in even afterwards. And it's just trending higher, but just super extended from its moving averages. So needs some more time. EVGO. I'm not sure what this particular company does, but nice big gap up, and look how strong it's been since. And then on this little kind of consolidation day, I think it was the inside day too. Can't even tell, sorry. Tiny volume, right? Nobody's selling this name. So this one, really strong looking name. Yeah, looks great. But again, just needs a little bit more time. It's just very extended, needs to tighten up just like we're seeing here. And then it could be a pretty good name right there. Then NEWR. Yeah, New Relic. So I'm not sure what the news was. It was after earnings, and it is just, a complete monster, gapped up to all-time highs and is holding up there very nicely. Nice, strong looking price action right there. So it looks really good. There you go. 11 actionable, 5 soon, 6 patience. Let's do a quick recap on last week's. So I had PERI in last week as one of my top 5. And it just kind of chopped around, didn't really do much, but still looks good. Lending Club kind of drifted lower. So that's that one. AFRM had earnings, which I noted that had earnings, so it could be a crapshoot, and it had a big gap down, kind of came back a bunch, then went back down again. So not a very good week for that one. AEHR, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was in this way. So kind of sideways chop. Not much to say about AEHR. Just kind of a down, sideways to down. And JMF also had earnings. And this is why you don't hold into earnings without a big cushion. And actually, even before earnings, it gave you it told you to get out, right? This bar right here, that's your get out bar. And then it continued lower and continued lower. So you had a get out bar right there if you were in this particular name, and it would have hurt, but not as bad as that, right? That's really bad. So there you go. How much down? Oof, 35%. And it may not be done yet, right? So there's the recap. Not such a great week, but let's talk about this week. First one, CFLT is in my. This one looks really good. I do like how tight this price action is in here. Moving averages are starting to catch up. Looks nice. Next up, PERI. I'm keeping this one in here. It really didn't prove one way or the other, and moving averages are that much closer, and everything is that much tighter. But it's trying to move out, and I like how it did close at the top end of the range, which it hasn't been able to do yet. This is something that's different, and it's in the wicks over here. So they always found sellers in these wicks. Now there's no sellers. All right, maybe that's something. So it's in my top 5. Coinbase. I like how the buyers showed up, right? It sold off hard. Buyers showed up, and buyers showed up the next day, and buyers showed up the next day. So they're buying the dip on Coinbase, and I think that continues to happen. SOFI. Beautiful big pattern here. Moving averages are kind of caught up and right below it. I like how it's kind of setting up after earnings. Nice reaction, great accumulation on the right side of this base. It has all the markings of a leader. And so I do like this one, SOFI. And it's ATEN Networks. Had a nice gap up. And then these two VWAPs is pinching through here, getting nice and tight. So upside resolution. And I think this one, it could be a huge winner also. It looks really, really good. So there you go. My new top 5 for this week. All right, so that's what we got for you. Hope this helps. Let me know down below which ones you liked, if any. Tell me what I missed, right? What's on your watch list that focus list that I didn't catch. Go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. Find me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Y'all have a great day. Bye.